Imagine that the universe repeats itself in an infinite cycle. Every moment you live, every emotion you feel, every decision you make, all of it has happened millions of times before and will perhaps happen again infinitely. In a reality where time is not linear but circular, where the past and future intertwine, what would become of the uniqueness of our lives and the meaning of our choices? Today, we will explore this idea of a cyclical universe, which is currently being debated at the deepest levels of science and philosophy, alongside fundamental questions such as meaning, destiny, free will, and consciousness. Together, we will begin to uncover the mysteries that await humanity and existence within the infinite repetitions. By the way, if you like my video and subscribe, that's the most effective way to support me. If you write where in the world you are watching from and what time it is, I would love to read your comments. 1. Is the universe really an infinite cycle where everything repeats itself? One of the most striking questions about the nature of the universe is whether events progress in a linear or cyclical manner. The cyclical universe theory argues that the universe has no beginning or end, but instead repeats itself in endless cycles of expansion and collapse. Everything constantly loops back to start anew, meaning that all material and energetic processes in the universe never truly end. This perspective is a revolution that overturns the human mind's search for beginning and end, transforming existence into a circular story. This cyclical nature includes the idea that our universe, which began with the Big Bang and expanded as it cooled, will one day collapse inward and be reborn with another explosion. Supported by theories such as the Big Bounce in modern cosmology, this idea suggests that physical laws may have a cyclical nature. If the universe is truly in this cycle, every event we experience could be a new chapter in a scenario that has been played out countless times before. In other words, we are actors in an endless theater, unknowingly playing the same roles in a constantly changing play. When we consider the implications of this, questions arise about the uniqueness of our identity and experiences. If all beings and events are repeating in an endless cycle, what is the meaning of individual choice and change? Does universal memory carry information between cycles, or is everything completely erased with each cycle? While scientists debate whether energy and information are completely lost, philosophers question how free will can exist in such a universe. In a cyclical universe, the perception of time also changes completely. There are no longer sharp lines between the past, present, and future. Everything flows into one another, and boundaries blur. This perspective may reduce humanity's existential loneliness, but it could also lead to a sense of helplessness. Because is it possible to create something new within repetitions, to be truly free? Or does the infinite cycle trap everything within a predetermined code? 2. Could you have lived the life you are living right now billions of times before? It is comforting to think that human existence is unique. However, the idea of a cyclical universe suggests that the life we live could be lived over and over again. Perhaps the emotions you are feeling right now, the dreams you are having, the decisions you are making, and every step you are taking have already occurred countless times before. This possibility causes us to repeatedly question the place and meaning of the individual in the universe. If every moment is an echo of a moment that has already been lived, the sense of originality is shaken. Nevertheless, some thinkers argue that cyclical repetitions can give meaning to existence. If our lives are repeated billions of times, this could demonstrate the infinite importance of every moment. Because even within infinite repetition, a small change can have a huge impact on the entire universe. Perhaps the small decision we make now could be the beginning of a completely different reality in the next cycle. Thus, even in a cyclical universe, there is room for meaning and change. From a scientific perspective, mathematical concepts such as the Poincaré return suggest that, under certain conditions, systems can repeat themselves indefinitely and return to their original state. In quantum physics, the wave function of the universe can contain infinite possibilities in an endless cycle. All of this reinforces the possibility that the life we live may be a mirror image of a past cycle. In this case, our sense of identity changes form between cycles, like drops of water in a river, but remains the same at its core. The repetitiveness of existence can make humans feel both uneasy and enchanted psychologically. The weight of the idea of an infinite cycle deepens with the realization that the moments in human life are not first and only. However, this endless repetition may also trigger the urge to live each moment more consciously. If we have already experienced everything many times before, we may now have the power to create new awareness and meaning. 3. What would it be like to live in a universe where time is circular rather than linear? We are accustomed to perceiving time as a straight line, progressing from beginning to end, from birth to death, like an arrow. But if time is circular, our journey never ends. We constantly return to the beginning. This presents a reality where the past and future intertwine, and events occur cyclically within a continuum. At every turn, we begin anew and come to an end. Life in such a universe resembles music filled with repeating motifs. The perception of circular time brings about significant changes at both the individual and societal levels. The past becomes something that can always return, while the future may already have been experienced in the past. Perhaps what we call time travel is simply navigating an intertwined, endless loop with no beginning or end. This perspective brings about a profound change in human psychology, as every event and every decision carries the potential of a constant repetition in a circular journey. In circular time, the boundaries between death and rebirth become blurred. Every end becomes the gateway to a new beginning. People cannot completely escape their mistakes or successes because everything is eventually relived. This can create a sense of cosmic justice. Knowing that everything we do will eventually come back to us may lead us to make more conscious choices in our behavior. On the other hand, it is also questioned whether real change and freedom are possible in a constantly rotating time loop. In this universe, the balance between fate and free will become much more complex. If the journey always returns to the same circle, how much control does a person truly have over their own destiny? Or does circular time offer humanity an infinite number of chances and possibilities for change? In such a universe, we exist in a state open to both infinite repetition and infinite possibility. Circular time is both a hope and an endless test for humanity. For what if every Big Bang in the universe is actually a continuation of the previous one? Although it is accepted that the universe began with a Big Bang, the question of what happened before this explosion remains a mystery. The cyclical universe model suggests that every Big Bang is born from the collapse of the previous universe. In other words, our current universe is a link carrying the traces and legacy of past universes. Each new explosion is a great rebirth following the death of the previous universe. This cycle paints a picture where the energy and matter of the universe never disappear, only change form. This perspective also brings the ideas of cosmic memory and information transfer to the forefront. In each cycle, perhaps the deepest secrets of the universe are carried over to the new universe. Atoms, galaxies, or even the fundamental laws of the universe may pass from one cycle to the next. Scientists speculate that traces of the universe before the Big Bang may be hidden in the cosmic microwave background, radiation, or in cosmic anomalies. Each cycle contains echoes of the universes that came before it. In this model, the death of the universe is not a final annihilation, but a phase of transformation and transition. Even at the moment when everything comes to an end, the energy and information hidden at the core of the universe is reborn with a new explosion. This represents the continuity of existence and universal permanence. Perhaps in each cycle, the meaning and laws of existence are redefined, and each time, the universe tries out a different possibility. Cyclical explosions allow for infinite diversity and possibilities in the universe. Each new cycle may begin with small or large differences from the previous one. Over time, these differences accumulate and can play a decisive role in the fate of the universe. In infinite cycles, every explosion is a hope, every collapse a preparation. This model shows that the universe has an inexhaustible, renewing source of life. 5. Death and rebirth. Does this apply to the universe as well? Death is one of humanity's most fundamental fears. However, for the universe, death may simply be a transformation. In the cyclical universe model, cosmic death is not an ultimate end, but the necessary gateway to a new beginning. Just as seasons cycle in nature, the universe dies and is reborn. This perspective allows us to view death as a universal process of transformation and renewal. With each collapse of the universe, matter, energy, and perhaps even cosmic information become the raw material for the new universe that will emerge. The universe does not cease to exist when it dies. Energy forms change, matter disperses, and in the next cycle, it takes on new shapes. This constant transformation demonstrates that existence does not reach an absolute end, but rather that every end opens the door to a new beginning. As frightening as death is for humans, it is just as natural for the universe. In this cycle, the meaning of death also changes. Death is no longer a loss or an end, but an opportunity to exist again in another form. Accepting cosmic death reinforces the idea that life is continuous and that nothing is lost forever. Perhaps death is the only way for the universe to renew itself. This perspective also inspires us. The cycles we see in nature, in the body, and in the cosmos are likely miniatures of the universe's own life cycle. Death and rebirth are universal rules and realities that support the eternity of life. Perhaps we are a small link in the cycle of the universe. Each death is the beginning of a greater life. 6. Could the fate of the universe really be predetermined? The idea of fate has been one of the most preoccupying questions for humans. In a cyclical universe, all events and possibilities may seem predetermined within an infinite repetition. If everything happens the same way in every cycle, how much of what we experience is under our control, and how much is the fate of the universe? This question opens up the concept of free will at a universal level. In cosmology, some scientists argue that the fundamental laws of the universe remain largely constant across cycles. This could imply that the universe's destiny is largely predetermined. However, quantum uncertainty and randomness suggest that small differences can emerge within these cycles. Perhaps destiny is not entirely fixed, but rather filled with small deviations that can lead to completely different outcomes in each cycle. From a philosophical perspective, the idea that destiny is predetermined can make humans feel helpless. However, even a small change in a cyclical universe can create a chain reaction. Like the butterfly effect, a tiny difference can trigger a massive change in the next cycle. In this case, a delicate balance is established between free will and destiny. Even though everything seems predetermined, there's always a door open for change and surprise. In this context, the question of whether the destiny of the universe is fixed ultimately depends on human free will. This cosmic dance between destiny and free will forms the dynamics of life and existence in a cyclical universe. Whether we repeat the same mistakes in each cycle or find a new path is a subject of endless curiosity and exploration for both individuals and the universe. 7. Do the concepts of first and last really exist in the universe? Most cultures and scientific narratives are based on the idea that the universe has a beginning and an end. However, the cyclical universe model completely questions these concepts of first and last. Every beginning is the continuation of the previous end. Every end is the harbinger of a new beginning. Time and existence are intertwined in this infinite cycle, and the boundaries between them are almost erased. In physics, the arrow of time is often associated with entropy. However, in cyclical models, entropy resets to zero at the beginning of the cycle and begins to increase again. This means that every cycle is a new beginning and that there is no absolute first or final last. From this perspective, cosmological time is a circle. It can never completely return to the beginning or end, but flows continuously. In philosophy and mythology, infinite cycles embody the concepts of immortality and change. The never-ending story of the universe presents a form of existence in which every moment is both the end and the beginning. This idea can create feelings of both freedom and loss in the human mind. Is it more valuable to lose your way in infinity or to always have a new beginning? This approach challenges the limits of modern science and expands the human imagination. When time and existence are viewed from a cyclical perspective, the meaning of life also changes. Perhaps the first and last we seek never existed. Everything is just part of an endless flow, transformation, and change. In an infinite cycle, we are part of a story that is never truly complete. 8. Could the memories we experience be remnants of another cycle? We all have moments of déjà vu that we cannot explain. A place feels familiar even though we have never been there before, or a conversation seems as if it has happened before. The idea of a cyclical universe suggests that such moments may be traces of previous cycles that have seeped into our subconscious. Perhaps the experiences we have had in countless cycles accumulate in our subconscious as memories and surface from time to time. This theory assumes that the depths of the human mind hold records of time and events. The subconscious may store the information we have acquired throughout the infinite repetitions of the universe as a kind of cosmic memory. Some psychologists argue that the collective unconscious or archetypes carry traces of humanity's shared past beyond individual memories. In the cyclical universe model, these traces may not only pertain to humanity, but to the entire universe. From a scientific perspective, neuroscience has not yet proven whether memories can be transferred between cycles, but quantum consciousness theories open up the possibility. Perhaps the fundamental building blocks of the universe, atoms and energy, can carry traces of past lives or experiences into new cycles. In this case, the memories we experience may not be truly first-time experiences. All of this deeply affects our perspective on identity and existence. If our memories are not from another cycle, how much of our personality and choices are unique to us? Or are we all repeating similar lives, similar emotions, and similar events in an endless cycle? Although there is no definitive answer to this question, even considering it amazes us and deepens the mystery of existence. 9. Does the flow of time progress in repeating patterns? It is possible to see cyclical patterns in nature, in the universe, and even in our own lives. The changing of the seasons, day and night, the vibration of atoms, and even human relationships and societies have a kind of repetition. The flow of time may be filled with repeating motifs, from the microscopic level to the cosmic scale. Fractal patterns frequently appear in the mathematics of the universe. Perhaps time also has a structure composed of such infinite cycles. These repeating patterns also reveal the relationship between order and chaos in the universe. Although similar events occur in each cycle, small differences and deviations can lead to significant outcomes. Scientists observe cyclical motifs and periodic changes even in the fundamental laws of the universe. These motifs suggest that the repetitions in our lives may have a cosmic counterpart. Cultures and civilizations also experience recurring cycles throughout history. Wars, peace, rises and falls repeat endlessly within the circular structure of history. In individuals' lives, habits, mistakes, and successes emerge in a cyclical pattern. Perhaps this repetition is a reflection of the cyclical nature of time. If the flow of time progresses with repeating patterns, then the purpose of life is found within these cycles. In an endless cycle, there is both freedom and inevitability. Our lives may be small motifs in the great symphony of the universe. Each repetition creates new possibilities and meaning. The cyclical nature of time enhances the beauty and mystery of existence. 10. If a new universe begins after every great collapse, what remains of the previous universe? In the cycle of collapse and rebirth of the universe, one of the most intriguing questions is what is carried over from the previous universe into the new cycle. Is everything truly reset, or are information, energy, and even memory transferred to the new universe? Some cosmological theories suggest that energy and information never disappear, but continue to exist in different forms. In this case, each new universe would be a being that carries the traces and secrets of the past. The law of conservation of information in physics is still debated in the context of black holes and cosmic collapses. According to some scientists, even black holes may retain some of the information they swallow. This information could be transferred to the new cycle when the universe collapses. Thus, in each cycle, there would be remnants of the past embedded in the fabric of the universe. The universe's memory might be stored in the cosmic microwave background as an echo of the universe's infancy. If the new universe is not a completely blank slate, this information and energy carried over from the previous cycle could play a decisive role in shaping the new universe. Cosmic evolution becomes more complex and intriguing with each cycle. Perhaps through this cyclical progression, the universe itself behaves like a constantly learning, evolving entity. All of this opens the door to both scientific and philosophical debates about whether the universe has an intercycle memory. If memory is carried over, the mistakes and successes of the past could influence new cycles. If, on the other hand, everything is completely reset, Each cycle opens the doors to a completely different existence. This uncertainty makes the infinite cycle of the universe even more fascinating and mysterious. 11. How does the cyclical universe theory fit in with quantum physics? Quantum physics helps us understand how the universe works at its most fundamental level. Quantum field theories describe the behavior of energy and particles, while also raising big questions about the beginning and end of the universe. In the cyclical universe model, the universe is born and dies multiple times, with a new starting point forming each time. This model implies that quantum fluctuations and uncertainties can lead to different outcomes in each cycle. In other words, as the universe repeats itself, a small change at the quantum level can produce completely different results in each cycle. Since quantum mechanics is based on probabilities and randomness, no cycle in a cyclical universe may be an exact copy of another. Each Big Bang gives rise to a new universe with quantum-level differences. Thus, each cycle of the universe could feature slightly different rules, different galaxies, and entirely different forms of life. Quantum fluctuations add extraordinary diversity and creativity to the cyclical universe model. Additionally, phenomena like quantum entanglement demonstrate how different regions of the universe are interconnected. Perhaps information from previous cycles of the universe is transmitted to subsequent cycles at the quantum level, suggesting that cosmic memory persists in the form of microscopic traces. Combining quantum physics and the cyclical universe model is one of the most exciting and profound topics in cosmology. This combination challenges both the scientific and imaginative limits of our understanding of the universe's infinite cyclical nature. The random nature of quantum physics reinforces the idea that absolute repetition never actually occurs in a cyclical universe, and that each cycle is unique. This suggests that every life and every universe could contain its own unique story. 12. Is it possible to gain awareness in an infinite cycle? In a model where the universe repeats itself in an infinite cycle, can individuals or conscious beings become aware of this cycle? Can a human being somehow sense that their life is repeating itself countless times? Awareness is not limited to an individual's own experiences, but is also connected to the desire to attain cosmic consciousness. Gaining awareness in an infinite cycle may be a way for the universe to understand itself. Philosophically speaking, becoming aware of cyclical existence can strengthen human free will. If we experience the same things over and over again, we may be able to learn from past mistakes and open up a new path in the cycle. Gaining awareness in an infinite cycle can transform humans from passive repeaters into active writers. Perhaps conscious choices can disrupt the patterns of cycles and give birth to new universes. Some thinkers and mystical traditions argue that such awareness is only possible through awakening or enlightenment. When consciousness awakens to the greater flow of the universe, it can break free from the cycle's constraints or transform them into new forms. Perhaps throughout history, some people have come close to realizing the cycle through déjà vu or deep inner intuitions. Ultimately, gaining awareness in an infinite cycle allows humans to find new meaning for themselves in the universe. Instead of seeing our lives as players in a repeating game, we can become conscious beings in pursuit of change and freedom. This awareness may be the key to producing innovation and hope even in a cyclical universe. 13. Why is it impossible to choose between the past and the future? When we think of time as a cycle, it becomes increasingly difficult to make a clear distinction between the past and the future. In a cyclical universe, every event will repeat itself at some point in the past and future. In this case, what we call future is actually a past that will be repeated. In this model, where the timeline disappears and events flow in a circular manner, the past and future blend together. This situation also reveals the limits of human will. The consequences of our choices may reappear in the next cycle, blurring the line between free will and destiny. Choosing the future is actually reliving a past event. In an infinite cycle, every choice and consequence repeats itself endlessly. Making a choice may seem like returning to the same point, no matter what we choose. This perspective brings about a major change in the human perception of time. Perhaps choosing something truly new is impossible in the cycle. Every possibility must be experienced within the infinite repetition. This gives rise to a sense of cosmic justice and inevitability. All paths converge at a point in the cycle and begin again. Ultimately, the impossibility of choosing between past and future makes human existence more complex and mysterious. As we strive to understand our own lives, grasping the infinite cyclical nature of time is both comforting and unsettling. Perhaps the only real choice we have is how we will face this cycle and make sense of the journey within it. 14. Are recurring events in the universe coincidence or necessity? We observe recurring events in the nature of the universe, the formation of galaxies, the birth and death of stars, the changing of seasons, the rise and fall of societies. In a cyclical universe, are these repetitions inevitable, or are they just random coincidences? In science, we see that some processes repeat almost inevitably, while some events occur entirely by chance. The balance between these two extremes creates the complexity of the universe. At the cosmological level, the laws of physics are fixed and will operate in the same way in every cycle of the universe. For example, stars are born and die under certain conditions. This is a necessity. However, when and how each star forms is determined by randomness and probability at the quantum level. This demonstrates that both necessity and chance operate together in a cyclical universe. Even within infinite repetition, a small coincidence can change the entire cycle. At the social and individual levels, people also experience similar events over and over again: wars, peace, love, losses. These may seem like inevitable outcomes of human nature and social structure. Yet every generation, every individual, experiences their own random events. Small deviations emerge within the grand cycle of history. Perhaps the greatest mystery of the universe lies in this balance between necessity and chance. In the infinite cycle of the universe, neither complete determinism nor absolute chance reigns supreme. The fine line between the two makes the astonishing diversity of life and existence possible. Every repetition is both inevitable and unique. The fact that everything within the cycle is both predetermined and open to infinite possibilities is one of the deepest mysteries of the universe. 15. Do universal laws remain the same in every cycle? The laws of physics form the basis of how the universe works. However, in a cyclical universe model, it is an important question whether these laws change with each cycle. Some theories suggest that during the Big Bang and Big Crunch, the fundamental constants of the universe, such as the speed of light and the gravitational constant, may remain the same in every cycle. If this is true, each new universe could operate in a manner very similar to the previous one. However, some scientists argue that during major cosmic changes, Small deviations in the laws of the universe could occur. Quantum-level uncertainties and differences in energy distributions could lead to the emergence of a new physical reality in each cycle. In this case, the laws of the universe would be recalibrated with small differences in each cycle, giving rise to entirely different universes. This possibility implies that truly new and unique universes could emerge in an infinite cycle. Perhaps in some cycles, life is completely impossible, while in others, consciousness could evolve. The question of whether universal laws remain constant is one of the greatest mysteries of both cosmology and metaphysics. If the laws are fixed, the universe could repeat the same story over and over again. If the laws change, each cycle is filled with entirely different potential. Between these two extremes, discovering the true nature of the universe remains one of humanity's deepest curiosities. 17. What was there before the Big Bang? Questions about the origin of the universe are among humanity's oldest curiosities. Although the Big Bang is accepted as the beginning of everything we can observe, what existed before this event remains a mystery. According to the cyclical universe model, the Big Bang was preceded by the collapse of another universe. In other words, our current universe may have emerged from the end of a previous cycle. This question is controversial from both a scientific and philosophical perspective. Scientists question whether the concepts of time and space were valid before the Big Bang. Perhaps time only began with the explosion, and there was no before. Or perhaps there is energy, accumulation, or quantum fluctuations left over from the previous cycle of the universe that triggered the new cycle. Some theories suggest that the universe collapsed into itself, forming a singularity, which triggered the next Big Bang. Other approaches argue that multiple universes colliding with one another could give rise to a new Big Bang. In any case, the question of nothingness or something else before the Big Bang is one of the most challenging puzzles for the human imagination. Although there is no definitive answer to this question, the cyclical universe model supports the idea that the universe never truly began, but is instead an endless flow and transformation. Perhaps everything is simply the endless rearrangement of an ever-present energy. This uncertainty ensures that humanity's cosmic adventure will never end. 17. Is there a single universe, or are there infinite universes in a cycle? When considering the cyclical nature of the universe, one of the big questions that arises is there just one universe repeating itself over and over? Or are new universes being created with each cycle? Some cosmological models argue that the cycles are completely interdependent, telling the story of a single universe, while others discuss the existence of parallel cycles and multiple universes. According to the multiverse theory, a new universe is born in each cycle, and none of these universes are exactly the same. This gives rise to a reality where an infinite number of universes exist, each with their own distinct laws, structures, and potentials. Each cycle could be the beginning of a completely different cosmos, a new story. This suggests that the universe is not just a repeating cycle, but a constantly branching cosmic tree. On the other hand, some physicists argue that the cyclical structure of the universe can be interpreted as the restarting of the same universe. In each cycle, a new universe begins with the same matter, the same energy, and similar structures. This is based on the principle of the infinite repetition of time and existence. However, due to quantum randomness and entropy, no cycle can be an exact copy of another. The answer to this question is one of the greatest mysteries of cosmology and human existence. Between the possibility of a single universe being experienced countless times and the emergence of an infinite number of universes, there lies a universe of possibilities as vast as our imagination. Regardless of which reality is true, the human mind will continue to strive to solve this mystery and understand the infinity of the universe. 18. Is human history repeating itself in a cyclical universe? If the universe repeats itself in an infinite cycle, could human history also begin anew with each cycle? The same civilizations, the same mistakes, the same heroics and tragedies. Is humanity walking the same path once again in every cycle? This is an important question in the philosophy of history and reflects the social dimension of the idea of a cyclical universe. In many mythologies and cultural legends, history is narrated cyclically. Golden ages and dark ages follow one another. Rises and falls are repeated over and over again. In the cyclical universe model, human history is also a reflection of this cosmic repetition. However, due to quantum randomness and individual choices, small differences and deviations may arise in each cycle. Each new cycle contains a new human story. Scientifically, the past and development of human civilization may appear chaotic and unpredictable, but there are recurring patterns in social processes. Wars, inventions, migrations, and cultural revolutions can repeat themselves in similar ways throughout history. In a cyclical universe, humanity faces the same challenges each time, but a small change can lead to significant differences. This idea raises new questions about humanity's collective consciousness and experience. Perhaps the knowledge, experience, and values we accumulate in each cycle are passed down to new cycles. As humanity retells the same story over and over, it may learn from the mistakes of the past and create real change at some point in the cycle. 19. Can you imagine how your existence might have taken shape in other cycles? The cyclical universe model makes people question their identity, choices, and lives over and over again. If our existence is experienced in different forms in an infinite cycle, we could have lived completely different lives in another cycle. Perhaps we were born in a completely different geography, under completely different conditions, and lived and will live completely different lives with different identities. This possibility fundamentally changes our understanding of ourselves. Imagining our own existence in different cycles also takes the concepts of free will and destiny to a new dimension. If our choices in each cycle show small differences, how much of who we are is fixed and how much is variable? This thought triggers the desire for personal growth and change. We can imagine our life journey in an infinite number of variations and seek new meanings in each new cycle. Additionally, the idea of communicating with ourselves in other cycles or catching glimpses of different lives through memories or intuitions offers inspiring themes in both science fiction and psychology. Perhaps the unexplainable feelings we sometimes experience are echoes of events we lived through in another cycle. Ultimately, imagining the possible forms of our existence in other cycles leads us to a deeper connection with the universe's great cycle. Each cycle opens the door to a new life, a new identity, and new possibilities. In the infinite cycle, there's a boundless space between who we are and who we could be. 20. If we gain awareness in the cycle, is it possible to break it? In the cyclical structure of the universe, perhaps humanity's true quest is to break free from this endless repetition, to break the cycle and achieve freedom. If one day we awaken in the cycle and become aware of the repeating events, could this awareness open up a new path for us? In mythology, heroes and enlightened figures who break the cycle often become the harbingers of a new age, a new reality. Gaining awareness means rejecting the notion of being trapped in a cycle and creating new meaning. Consciously recognizing repetitions and making new choices to break the chain can bring about transformation on both an individual and cosmic level. Perhaps the evolution of humanity and the universe is accelerated by the efforts of beings who are aware of cycles. Cyclical repetition is transformed into creative change through awareness. In some spiritual teachings, concepts such as moksha, nirvana, or enlightenment symbolize liberation from the cycle of existence. When consciousness transcends the cycle, it rises to a new level of reality. From a scientific perspective, a small awareness in a cyclical system can change the entire system through chain reactions. However, breaking the cycle is not an easy process. The allure and habit of endless repetition always pull us back to the old. Yet conscious awareness can transcend this habit and challenge the cyclical nature of the universe. Perhaps the greatest freedom lies in the ability to create new paths and new stories within the endless cycle. 21. Does the endless cycle show that everything in the universe is governed by fate or free will? Does the universe's endless cycle run like clockwork? Or is there room within the cycles for small changes, surprises, and new beginnings? The concept of destiny is one of humanity's oldest debates, and when elevated to the cosmic level, it becomes even more fascinating. The question of whether every event, every entity, and every life in the infinite cycle repeats along a predetermined path or is open to change through free will fundamentally impacts the meaning of existence. If everything in the cycles is bound by fate, does the notion of uniqueness and change remain merely a fantasy? Or is it possible to forge a new path within those cycles, to break free from the familiar? For many people, destiny offers a comforting explanation. Everything happens for a reason, and there is a greater order behind what we experience. However, in an infinite cycle, the repetition of the same events seems to threaten the idea of free will. If the same choices and the same outcomes have been occurring for billions of years, is the question, who am I? What am I choosing? Meaningless. At this point, the uncertainty and small probabilities of quantum physics come into play. Perhaps destiny is constantly being disrupted by micro-level deviations and random events, with each cycle adding a new possibility. Could there be a small space for freedom, even in the universe's greatest cycle? If so, perhaps even the smallest decision creates cosmic waves, whose effects will be felt billions of years later. In an infinite cycle, free will may not change the main story from top to bottom, but it can transform its tone and flow. This is a great hope for humanity. Perhaps there are secret doors opened by free will in the walls of destiny. In the end, the relationship between destiny and free will in an infinite cycle remains the greatest mystery of existence. The question of whether everything is written or open to change and transformation feeds both human fears and dreams. Perhaps the true meaning lies in the infinite cycle between these two opposing poles, the security of fate and the challenge of free will, together continuing their cosmic dance. 22. If the future is a repetition of the past, is change possible? In a universe where the future is shaped as a copy of the past, is it possible to experience something truly new? The idea of an endless cycle presents our lives and the flow of the universe as a predetermined path. If everything keeps repeating itself, is the sense of development, progress and change we experience an illusion? Or is there really a door to surprise, innovation, and change within the cycles? Humanity wants to believe that change is possible. It hopes that a new beginning can be different from the repetition of the past. Even in a cyclical universe, a small deviation can lead to big differences. The butterfly effect demonstrates that small beginnings can lead to enormous results in chaotic systems. Perhaps somewhere within the cycles, a very small change opens the door to a completely different journey. Even within infinite repetition, could the seed of a different destiny have been planted? In science, this idea finds its counterpart in fundamental laws, such as quantum randomness and thermodynamics. The conditions in each cycle may never be exactly the same. A small difference in energy at the beginning of the universe could turn into a brand new galaxy or life form billions of years later. Change has a place, even in cyclical flows. Infinite cycles do not completely fix everything. Sometimes they create new paths. All of this instills hope and curiosity in humans. Perhaps even in constant cycles, what we call I is the product of differentiation and change. The future is not always a copy of the past. Sometimes the smallest difference is enough to change the entire destiny of the universe. Change is possible in cycles. What matters is to seek this change and find the courage to create it. 23. Are entropy and order reset in every cycle? One of the most fundamental laws governing the universe is entropy. It states that chaos and disorder must always increase. In a cyclical universe, does entropy reset to zero at the start of each cycle? Or does the disorder from the previous cycle carry over into the new one? This question is one of the most technical and fascinating debates in cosmology. According to some theories, when the universe ends in a big collapse, all energy and matter merge into a dense point, and a clean slate is opened as the new cycle begins. This means that entropy starts from zero and begins to increase again. Each cycle marks the beginning of a new race between cosmic order and chaos. Thus, the universe is rebuilt and refreshed over infinite cycles. However, an alternative view argues that entropy is not completely erased, but remains as a cosmic residue in the new cycle. If a certain amount of disorder is transferred in each cycle, each new universe could be slightly more complex and slightly more disordered than the previous one. Perhaps this is why the universe takes on a different, richer, and more unexpected form in each cycle. This view suggests that infinite cycles could accumulate to accelerate the evolution of the universe. This endless interplay between entropy and order defines the fundamental nature of the universe. If everything is reset in each cycle, a sense of pure beginning arises each time. But if accumulation and remnants seep into the new cycle, the universe reshapes itself each time with the echoes of its own past. This shows that existence is both simple and complex, both clean and marked by traces. 24. Can consciousness live forever in the cycle of time? Consciousness is considered one of the greatest miracles of the universe. So in the cycle of time, can consciousness really be immortal? Is it possible to be reborn in each cycle in completely different forms? This question is fueled by both the human soul's desire for eternity and a curiosity that pushes the boundaries of science. In an infinite cycle, can consciousness constantly rebuild itself? According to philosophical approaches, consciousness may have the ability to restart in an infinite cycle. In each cycle, individual or collective consciousness reappears in the universe in some form. This means that the soul or consciousness travels through infinity, constantly searching for new forms, like a kind of cosmic nomad. If information is not lost in the structure of the universe and memory is transferred between cycles, consciousness can also continue to exist in some form. Scientifically, however, it is debated whether consciousness is tied to physical structure and whether physical conditions will reappear in each cycle. If certain conditions repeat in a cyclical universe, it is possible that the same or similar consciousnesses could reappear. Quantum information theories suggest that consciousness can be preserved in the universal information field. In this case, could consciousness really be a candidate for eternal life? In light of all this, although it seems difficult to establish a direct link between consciousness and the cycle of time with today's science, even imagining this with our imagination gives us both comfort and inspiration. Perhaps in an infinite cycle, consciousness will one day continue its journey into eternity in new forms, new stories, together with the universe itself. Can consciousness really be immortal in an infinite cycle? 25. Is there room for coincidence in the infinite cycle of the universe? In the vast cycle of the universe, everything may seem tightly organized. However, chaos theory and quantum physics reveal that randomness reigns at the very core of reality. In an infinite cycle, whether every event is an inevitable outcome or whether chance, luck, and unexpected events have a place in the cycle is a matter of great curiosity. Does coincidence open up a real realm of freedom in every cycle? In the repeating stories of the universe, even the smallest uncertainties at the quantum level can lead to huge differences billions of years later. Thus, in every cycle, the random movements of atoms, energy changes, and the birth of stars and galaxies can create small surprises. This shows that even the cosmic order is not completely written, and that chance adds a realm of freedom to the infinite cycle. No cycle may be exactly the same as the one before it. In human life, we observe that chance and unexpected events play a significant role. In the course of history, even the smallest coincidences have sometimes led to social transformations, great discoveries, and the rise of civilizations. In a cyclical universe, can such small deviations initiate new stories on a cosmic scale? Perhaps the most ordinary coincidences trigger the most important changes in an infinite cycle. Ultimately, the question of whether there is room for coincidence in an infinite cycle is closely related to whether freedom, creativity, and innovation exists in the nature of the universe. Whether cycles are completely closed systems or open-ended structures open to possibilities in each cycle is one of the greatest mysteries of existence. Perhaps chance is freedom itself in the infinity of the cycle. 26. Could there be a single remembering entity in an infinite cycle? As everything begins anew in the cosmic cycle, could an entity, consciousness, or energy remember all cycles from beginning to end? In mythology and philosophy, mystical beings who are aware of all cycles and carry the knowledge of the past and future are depicted. In science fiction works, we often encounter travelers who live beyond time and remember the secrets of the universe. So can there really be a rememberer in an infinite cycle? When we evaluate this scientifically, the issue of memory and information's transfer comes to the fore. If, in a cyclical universe, the transfer of information and memory to a new universe is possible, perhaps a consciousness could remember each cycle from the previous one. In quantum information theory, information does not disappear, but continues to exist in different forms. This theoretically means that cosmic memory could be transferred between cycles. However, accessing this information and creating a consciousness that can remember, it presents a completely different problem. From a philosophical perspective, the idea of eternal memory is both fascinating and terrifying. Remembering everything in an infinite cycle could mean both absolute wisdom and infinite loneliness. Could living with the burden of all past cycles be an infinite weight and responsibility for a being? Or is forgetting in each cycle the path to new beginnings and freedom? Ultimately, the question of whether there is a single remembrancer remains a curiosity that challenges the limits of the universe's knowledge and consciousness. Perhaps one day, humanity or another entity will uncover the memory of the cycles. Or perhaps the universe is doomed to open a clean slate with each iteration of its infinite cycle. This possibility calls humanity both to an universal journey and to its own inner depths. 27. Why do we sometimes feel that history repeats itself? Societies, civilizations, and individuals are sometimes overcome by the feeling that this has happened before. Wars, revolutions, economic crises, or personal experiences all seem to have been experienced before, as if they were the repetition of an old cycle. The concept of a cyclical universe and cyclical time suggests that this feeling is not merely an illusion, but that the universe and history truly operate in repeating cycles. Why does history seem to repeat itself so often? One reason lies in the fundamental tendencies of human nature and social structures. People respond similarly under similar circumstances. Basic emotions such as fear, hope, greed, and courage cause events to repeat themselves throughout history. The same solutions are tried for the same social problems, and similar results emerge. Perhaps history is nothing more than the collective memory of humanity being constantly rewritten in a cosmic cycle. Cyclical patterns can also be observed in the physical world. The movements of the planets, the passing of the seasons, the transformation of matter. Repetitions at the social level may be a small reflection of the cyclical nature of the universe. A cyclical understanding of history strengthens humanity's connection with its own nature and with the universe. Perhaps the repetition of the past gives rise to different meanings and outcomes in each cycle. Sometimes this sense of repetition can leave people feeling helpless and hopeless. However, being aware of cycles creates an opportunity to learn from the mistakes of the past and open up new paths. If history repeats itself, perhaps it is up to us to change the pattern of the cycle. Each new cycle is a new chance for a different perspective and change. Perhaps the real issue is not repetition itself, but finding the novelty within it. 28. Can a small difference in a cycle change the course of the entire universe? In the vast cycle of the universe, is it possible for a small change to make a big difference? In chaos theory, even the flapping of a butterfly's wings can affect the entire system. This means that in a cyclical universe, small beginnings can lead to enormous results. In an infinite cycle, could the smallest decision or event completely alter the flow of the entire universe in the next cycle? Scientifically, such sensitivity and dependence on initial conditions are fundamental properties of complex systems. A minor random event in a cycle could lead to a completely different galaxy, species, or physical law millions of years later. In infinite cycles, the potential for difference never runs out. Each repetition holds the possibility of a new future. This increases both the unpredictability and diversity of the universe. Philosophically, the idea of small differences increases human responsibility. The idea that every action we take, every decision we make, can resonate not only in our own lives, but also in the cycle of the universe, has a profound impact on an individual level. Perhaps free will in an infinite cycle lies precisely in these small differences. Can a single word, an act of love, or a sacrifice shape the destiny of a new cycle? Ultimately, the question of whether a small difference in the cycle can create a huge result lies at the heart of humanity's scientific and spiritual journey. Knowing that even the smallest touches in our lives and in the universe can set off an endless flow gives us both hope and responsibility. Could every moment in the infinite cycle hold the potential to change the fate of all existence? 29. Are there copy lives in the universe? Does the idea of an infinite loop mean that the same lives, the same events, or even the exact same people repeat themselves over and over again in the universe? One of the most intriguing assumptions of cosmology is that in the infinity of the universe, every form of life and every possibility can come to pass. Copy lives give rise to the idea that someone exactly like us could exist in another cycle, another universe, or another corner of the universe. Are there really copy lives in the universe? Scientists argue that if the universe is infinitely large, then every possible combination is likely to repeat itself somewhere. So somewhere, at some point in time, there could be a copy of you living the same life. This is where the idea of a cyclical universe inspires science fiction. In parallel universes or cosmic cycles, the same choices and outcomes could repeat themselves over and over again. From a philosophical perspective, the idea of copy lives raises questions about our sense of self and uniqueness. If the same life is lived over and over again, how unique are our personalities, memories, and identities? Or are we all just motifs, reflections in the repeating patterns of the universe? This thought is both terrifying and fascinating. In conclusion, while it is not certain whether copy lives exist in the universe, the idea of infinite cycles and infinite universes never rules out this possibility. In a cosmos where everything repeats or is relived elsewhere, the balance between originality and repetition makes the meaning of existence even more complex and exciting. 30. Can transitions, or memories, be carried over between the cycles of the universe? One of the greatest mysteries of a cyclical universe is whether information, memories, or energy can be carried over between different cycles. When a new cycle begins, are the traces of the past completely erased? Or do memories, symbols, or energy from the old universe somehow persist in the new one? This question relates to humanity's cosmic memory and the secrets hidden in the depths of the universe. Some theories suggest that information and energy never completely disappear, but merely change form. Information stored in black holes, traces hidden in the cosmic microwave background, and the cosmic memory carried between cycles can be interpreted in this way. Perhaps in each new universe, the shadow of previous cycles persists faintly. Memories blend into the new cycle in different forms. In an infinite cycle, is nothing ever completely forgotten? Philosophical and spiritual traditions also discuss the transmission of memory and information between cycles through concepts such as the journey of the soul, karma, or collective consciousness. People sometimes experience unexplained intuitions, déjà vu moments, or deep fears and longings as memories of another life, another cycle. Perhaps in a cyclical universe, memories and emotions are encoded as energy and reappear in different forms in a new universe. Scientifically, however, how cyclical information transfer could occur remains unknown. However, research into whether the fundamental laws of the universe remain the same or change with each cycle keeps alive the hope that such a transfer is possible. Perhaps each new cycle of the universe is enriched by the experiences of previous cycles and gains a more complex structure. This possibility completely transforms our understanding of identity and existence. In a universe where the past, memories, and experiences are not completely erased, but are lived in different forms in the next cycle, the continuity of life and consciousness takes on a much more meaningful form. In an infinite cycle, who knows? Perhaps every new beginning is an echo of the past and a memory of the future. 31. If the direction of time changes, will the cycle be broken? In the infinite cycle of the universe, does time always flow forward? Or is it possible for it to change direction at some point? In the world of science, the arrow of time is associated with entropy, or the increase of disorder, and therefore flowing backward seems almost impossible within the framework of current laws of physics. However, with the cyclical universe model, the question of whether time could change direction at a certain point has become a subject of great curiosity. If the flow of time were to change one day, would everything in the cycle we are in undergo a fundamental transformation? If the reversal of time were to move beyond theoretical debate and lead to a real break in the structure of the universe, all physical processes, life, death, and even our concepts of memory and identity would have to be redefined. Would all the entropy accumulated up to that point return to a regular structure? Would humans move forward into their own past? Perhaps with the reversal of time, all stories, experiences, and even civilizations in the universe would be erased, giving rise to a completely different cosmic narrative. From a philosophical perspective, the reversal of time causes us to question the meaning of life and existence from beginning to end. The rewinding of everything that has happened raises the question of whether choices and consequences lose their meaning. If the boundary between past and future disappears, would our consciousness experience a major upheaval? Or could the breaking of the cycle herald a new beginning, an unknown phase of the universe? In conclusion, a change in the direction of time would fundamentally shake not only the physical structure of the universe, but also our world of meaning. In an infinite cycle, if such a break were to occur, all the codes of the past and future would be rewritten. Perhaps the great secret hidden between the cycles will one day emerge when time flows in a completely different direction, carrying all existence into an infinite renewal. 32. How does dark energy play a role in a cyclical universe? Dark energy is a mysterious force that accelerates the expansion of the universe and exists in a form that is much more dominant than matter. When considering the cyclical structure of the universe, the role of dark energy becomes critical. This is because the continuation or end of cycles is directly linked to the expansion and collapse dynamics of the universe. Could dark energy be one of the most important factors determining the future of the cyclical universe? Observations show that the expansion of the universe has accelerated in recent times, and that this process may be related to dark energy. If dark energy causes the universe to expand forever, the next major collapse may not occur. In this case, would the infinite cycle be broken, and would the universe be condemned to a state of stasis known as heat death? Or would dark energy change direction at some point and pave the way for the collapse of the universe? Various possibilities are considered in physical models, such as dark energy remaining constant, increasing, or decreasing. Each of these possibilities affects the cyclic universe model in different ways. If dark energy decreases in a cycle, the universe could collapse back into itself and begin a new cycle. However, if it increases, we may encounter infinite expansion instead of cyclical repetition. This uncertainty is one of the greatest conundrums of the cyclical universe theory. Dark energy is one of the greatest mysteries that must be solved to understand the fate of the universe and its infinite cycle. Perhaps in the future, as the true nature of dark energy is understood, our biggest questions about the cyclical nature of the universe will be answered. Until then, dark energy will continue to exist as the darkest and most critical note in the cosmic rhythm of the universe. 33. Is the Big Crunch really possible? One of the theories about the future of the universe is the Big Crunch. According to this model, the expansion of the universe will eventually come to a halt, and gravity will prevail, pulling all matter back into a single point. In the idea of a cyclical universe, this Big Crunch marks the beginning of the next Big Bang and a new cycle. So will such a collapse really happen one day? Current observations show that the expansion of the universe is accelerating and that a collapse does not seem likely in the near future. However, when cosmic time scales are considered, could small changes in the energy dynamics of the universe lead to an unexpected reversal? If the big collapse occurs, will all galaxies, stars, and even time itself be compressed into a single point? Could the information and energy within the universe be transformed into a new explosion without being lost? The big collapse symbolizes that existence is in a state of constant transformation and that every end leads to a new beginning. In such a model, there is no death, only constant renewal and repetition. Every collapse in the universe opens the door to a new birth with the experiences accumulated from the past. This paints a hopeful picture of the physical and philosophical nature of existence as something that will always continue. Although far from scientific certainty, the idea of the Great Collapse offers humanity the hope of a new beginning in each cycle rather than being lost in endless cycles. In the midst of the infinite cycle, each collapse remains a sign that life and the cosmos truly continue forever. 34. Can a conscious being be aware of the cycle? As a conscious being in the infinite cycle of the universe, is it possible to truly be aware of the repeating story, events, and relationships? Can humans internally feel that the past is repeating itself today, or has been experienced millions of times before? Does becoming aware of the cycle transform an ordinary life into a cosmic experience? Our senses and memory often focus on momentary experiences, but could unexplained intuitions, déjà vu moments, or the powerful feeling of "I've experienced this moment before" indicate that the shadow of the cycle is seeping into our lives? Perhaps consciousness is not nourished by time or experience, but by a hidden knowledge between cycles. In such a moment of awakening, does a person become aware of the infinity of the universe and begin to make more conscious choices? In mythology and spiritual traditions, heroes who become aware of the cycle and experience awakening are often told. Such figures depart from the ordinary world and ascend to a higher level of consciousness. From a scientific perspective, collective consciousness, memory, and the flow of information in the universe remain a great mystery. Could an entity say, "I was here," as it transitions from one cycle to another? Perhaps becoming aware of the cycle does not result in the burden of endless repetition, but rather the beginning of freedom and creativity. Does perceiving our own cycle lead us to discover the true meaning of our choices and our lives? Perhaps cosmic memory awaits as a key to the awakening of consciousnesses aware of the cycles. 35. Does universal knowledge get lost or transferred between cycles? Is each cycle of the universe a new beginning, or is it the sum of all the knowledge, experience, and mistakes of previous cycles? Does universal knowledge completely reset and disappear in infinite cycles, or is it somehow transferred to new cycles? Could the cosmic equivalent of the conservation of information determine humanity's fate in an infinite cycle? In physics, it is debated whether even black holes somehow store the information and energy they absorb. Even though all cosmic data and energy seem to be reset when the universe collapses or explodes, some theories suggest that this information could reappear in new cycles in different forms. Perhaps information encoded as cosmic memory in the fabric of the universe is reborn with each new beginning. This implies the existence of a genuine learning and evolutionary process in the universe. From a philosophical perspective, does humanity's collective memory, myths, stories, and values form a chain of wisdom that is passed down through cycles? If so, traces of the past, knowledge, and experience guide new lives in each new cycle. This offers humanity a real opportunity for learning and change. Does no information in the universe truly disappear? However, the limits and form of knowledge transmission remain a great mystery. If knowledge is completely lost, all beings and civilizations would have to start from scratch in every cycle. But if knowledge is transferred, would each new cycle be the birth of a more complex and richer universe? In an infinite cycle, could the transfer of knowledge be the key to cosmic evolution and real change? 36. In a cyclical universe, can you change your destiny? In an infinite cycle, does our destiny follow a completely predetermined path, or do we have the chance to change our fate? While repeating the same story in every cycle may make humans feel helpless, could small deviations and awareness in a cyclical universe alter the course of destiny? This question lies at the heart of the battle between free will and universal order. Many spiritual teachings and myths tell of heroes who break the chains of fate and change the cycle. These heroes step outside the familiar destiny during moments of awakening and transformation, embarking on a brand new story. Perhaps in a cyclical universe, true freedom lies in challenging the repetition of fate. Can a conscious change open new paths in the cycle? From a scientific perspective, a small difference in initial conditions can lead to significant changes in chaotic systems. In the infinite repetition of the universe, a microscopic event can change the enormous course of destiny. Can each cycle produce a new result? And can humans add a new paragraph to the script of destiny with their free will? Changing destiny in a cyclical universe is humanity's greatest claim to existence. Perhaps the real issue is not living the same cycle forever, but finding new meanings and new paths in each cycle. Could changing one's destiny be the universe's greatest secret and most courageous journey? 37. Could the feeling of déjà vu be a sign of a cyclical universe? Almost everyone has experienced the feeling of "I've been here before," at least once in their life. This momentary, intense sense of familiarity remains unexplained in science. However, in the idea of a cyclical universe, could déjà vu be the remnants of memories or experiences from past cycles seeping into the present? Are we facing a true reflection of infinite repetition? While psychology attempts to explain this phenomenon as a short circuit in the brain, mystical and philosophical approaches interpret déjà vu as the soul or consciousness encountering past experiences in a cyclical universe. Perhaps certain events, places, or people reappear in each cycle and leave an echo in our subconscious. Could these moments be a reflection of cosmic memory in everyday life? Some scientific theories suggest that déjà vu is the result of the subconscious, multiple possibilities, or quantum uncertainty. Perhaps in the cyclical nature of the universe, as certain events follow one another, the leakage of memories and intuitions across time is inevitable. Is every déjà vu a meeting point in an infinite cycle? Ultimately, whatever the real cause of déjà vu may be, it makes us feel the cyclical nature of the universe. Perhaps this feeling is a small reminder that allows us to look at ourselves and life anew in the infinite repetition of existence. As a sign of a cyclical universe, could déjà vu be the key to the mysterious connection between consciousness and time? 38. How do cosmic time and human time merge in the cycle? In the infinite cycle of the universe, how do cosmic time and individual human time come together? On a cosmic scale, billions of years are as short as the blink of an eye. Yet in human life, even a single second can feel like eternity. In a cyclical universe, do these two types of time move as different dimensions of the same pattern? Where does human experience align with the cycles of the universe? While human time progresses like a line from birth to death, cosmic time flows in endless cycles. In our daily lives, seasons, aging, and memories all point to the cyclical nature of time. In our individual lives, there are repetitions and routines, but on a cosmic scale, are these just small parts of a vast time pattern? Is there a real connection between the cycle of the universe and human life? According to some thinkers, the human mind and consciousness enter into resonance with cosmic time, aligning themselves with the cycles of the universe. Our intuitions, collective consciousness, and archetypes are traces of this resonance seeping into everyday life. Can a cyclical understanding of time give deep meaning to human life and create a sense of oneness with the universe? Ultimately, do cosmic time and human time merge as reflections of each other in an infinite cycle? Perhaps every human life is a moment, an echo, and a light in the vast cycle of the universe, lost in infinity. Could our perception of time be a way of understanding our own existence at a point in an infinite cycle? 39. Is there a starting point in an infinite cycle? In the cyclical universe model, the line between the beginning and the end disappears. So is it still possible to search for a first moment, a starting point in the cosmic cycle? The human mind always seeks a first spark, a moment of creation. But if everything in the cycle is connected from beginning to end, can we really speak of a beginning? Some theories suggest that each cycle has its own beginning and end. However, these points are so intertwined with the end of the previous cycle that beginning or end only exist from our perspective. Every moment in the cycle is both an end and a new beginning. In the cosmic calendar, does nothing ever start from absolute zero? From a philosophical perspective, the search for a starting point is a result of humanity's quest to find meaning in the universe. Everyone wants to turn over a new leaf in their life, to break free from the burdens of the past and start anew. But in a cyclical universe where past and future are so intertwined, does even a new beginning carry the shadow of the previous cycle? Ultimately, the question of whether there is a true starting point in a cyclical universe is one of the greatest mysteries of time and existence. Perhaps every new moment exists at the center of an infinite cycle where the past and future converge. Do the concepts of beginning and end dissolve into the great cycle of infinity? 40. How does the cycle affect the life and development of the universe? Does the infinite cycle ensure that the universe is merely a repeating mechanism, or does it enable it to be a developing, evolving, constantly changing entity? Do the small differences within the cycles make it possible for the universe to become more complex, rich, and creative? Is there real progress, development, or evolution between cyclical repetitions? Throughout the cycles of the universe, every new beginning contains a small difference, an innovation. These small changes can accumulate over time and lead to enormous results. Just as in the evolution of living beings, small adaptations in cosmic cycles give rise to new galaxies, elements, and life forms, does endless repetition lay the groundwork for the universe to be a living entity that never stops, always evolving and changing? Philosophically, the idea of cyclical development is also inspiring for human life. Every new experience builds upon the previous repetition, and the individual is constantly changing. In the cycles of the universe, knowledge, energy, and consciousness accumulate to reach new levels. Does this mean that the infinite cycle is truly an evolutionary machine? In conclusion, the cycle is not merely a repetition in the universe, but also a means of development and progress. Within the infinite repetition, every moment gives rise to a new story, new potential, and new life. Do the cycles of the universe reveal that life and existence are an endless journey of learning and change? 41. Do small changes in each cycle lead to significant outcomes? The idea that even the smallest change in the cyclical structure of the universe can lead to tremendous results in subsequent cycles is a concept that challenges the imagination in both science and philosophy. According to this idea, which lies at the heart of chaos theory, a tiny difference in the initial conditions can steer the fate of the universe in a completely different direction in an infinite cycle. Could a change in the vibration of an atom shape the distribution of galaxies, the birth of stars, or the emergence of life billions of years later? Does the cumulative effect of cycles lead to unpredictable diversity and an infinite network of possibilities on a cosmic scale? Scientists have observed that quantum fluctuations in the first moments of the universe determined the current distribution of galaxy clusters. These fluctuations, which were almost insignificant at the beginning, formed massive structures over time and shaped the evolution of the universe. If every new beginning in a cyclical universe involves tiny deviations, it is clear that these will change the entire structure of the universe in the long run. Each cycle rewrites the history of the universe. Could a small difference create the infinite diversity of existence? This principle applies not only to the physical universe, but also to social and individual levels. In human life, a small decision, a chance encounter, or a random event can lead to enormous consequences over time. Does every new movement within cycles, whether conscious or random, give rise to entirely new stories and possibilities? This encourages us to pay closer attention to the small details of our own lives, because the idea that small differences can change the story of the universe in an infinite cycle is fascinating. Ultimately, does the fact that small changes in each cycle of a cyclical universe lead to big results increase the beauty and complexity of existence? Instead of the tedium of endless repetition, could the cosmic diversity brought about by tiny differences and innovations be the true source of the universe's richness and creativity? Does each cycle mark the beginning of a new universe, a new life, and a new meaning? 42. How does the idea of an infinite cycle affect human psychology? The idea that the universe repeats itself in an infinite cycle can have profound effects on human psychology. For some, this idea signifies infinite freedom and second chances, while for others it can create a sense of being trapped in a vicious cycle and meaninglessness. Does the idea of an infinite cycle fundamentally shake the human perspective on death, meaning, destiny, and freedom? Are our lives really just a repetition of a pre-written story? This thought leads people to question their choices and responsibilities in their own lives. If everything is already repeating itself, what is the meaning of our actions? This questioning sometimes leads to nihilism and sometimes to existential hope. In each cycle, does the possibility of making a small change, breaking the chain, and opening a new path lead people to take action and redefine the meaning of their lives? For some people, the idea of living the same life in a cyclical universe is a heavy burden, while for others, these repetitions are a source of growth and learning. The endless cycle offers a new chance, a new awareness, and a new discovery every time. Can the mistakes made in life, learned anew in each cycle, turn into a leap of consciousness that will one day break the chain? Psychologically, confronting the idea of a cyclical universe makes humans more conscious and responsible beings. Within each repetition and each new cycle, there's a chance for the individual to become the author of their own life. Perhaps the real issue is not the cycles themselves, but finding meaning, growth, and freedom within them. Within endless repetitions, can each person create their own path, their own uniqueness? 43. Can scientists prove the cyclical universe? The cyclical universe theory has become one of the most popular and controversial topics in cosmology in recent years. However, proving this theory poses a tremendous challenge for scientists. This is because finding traces of the universe's previous cycle is quite difficult with current techniques and observations. Are echoes from past cycles being sought in the microwave background or cosmic radiation, but no definitive and direct evidence has been found yet. Two main approaches are proposed to scientifically prove a cyclic universe. The first is to find traces of previous cycles in the present universe. Could these traces be found in the cosmic microwave background as anomalous regions, unexpected patterns in energy densities, or hidden in the information transfer of black holes? The second approach involves developing mathematical and theoretical models that show how physical laws change between cycles. Could quantum cosmology and high-energy physics open new doors in this field? With the advancement of technology, it is becoming possible to observe deeper regions of the universe and finer traces of its past. New generation telescopes, black hole observations, and cosmic radiation analyses may bring us one step closer to capturing clues about a cyclical universe. However, will finding the traces of each infinite cycle remain one of the most challenging puzzles of the universe? Although science struggles to find definitive proof, the popularity of the cyclical universe theory continues to grow. Perhaps one day, new discoveries and unexpected observations will finally answer humanity's oldest question. Until then, will the fascinating possibility of a cyclical universe continue to inspire science and imagination? In the meantime, liking and subscribing to my video is the most effective way to support me. 44. Is there a difference between a cyclical universe and parallel universes? In the world of cosmology, The concepts of a cyclical universe and parallel universes are often confused. In a cyclical universe, the same universe is born, dies, and starts over again. Parallel universes, on the other hand, are independent universes, each with its own laws and conditions. So is there really a fundamental difference between these two models? In a cyclical universe, all past and future cycles follow each other on a single line. Each cycle carries traces of the previous one and offers new possibilities for the future. In parallel universes, however, a different reality exists at every moment. Another you lives a completely different life in another universe. In one, there is a cyclical repetition of time, while in the other, there is infinite diversity and difference. Do we return to the same point in each cycle, or do parallel universes never meet? On a physical and philosophical level, the two models also have different effects on human perception and understanding of freedom. In the cyclical universe, a repeating destiny, inevitability, and the opportunity to learn lessons come to the fore. In parallel universes, freedom and diversity come to the fore. Every decision has a different result in another universe. Is it possible to meet at a point in an infinite cycle? Or is it inevitable to always diverge in infinite parallel realities? Ultimately, do cyclical and parallel universe models enrich humanity's view of the cosmos and its understanding of its own existence? Both place infinity, change, and diversity at their center. Whichever is true, will the human mind continue to oscillate between these two models in search of the meaning of existence? 45. Does the music of the universe change between cycles? We sometimes liken the workings of the universe to a giant symphony, a cosmic music. The dance of galaxies, the vibration of stars, the frequency of atoms. All of these are signs of the universe's harmonious, cyclical, and rhythmic structure. So does the music of the universe remain the same in an infinite cycle? Or does it change and evolve with each cycle? Is cosmic music written with different notes in each cycle? Scientifically, the structure and composition of the universe may show slight differences in each cycle. Details such as the ratio of elements, the arrangement of galaxies, or the distribution of black holes can cause the cosmic melody to change in each cycle. Could the cosmic microwave background, known as the background music of the universe, be filled with echoes from past cycles? Does the universe's symphony create new themes, new rhythms, and new harmonies in each cycle? From a philosophical perspective, the music of the universe symbolizes the meaning and beauty of existence. Cyclical repetitions form a familiar melody, while small deviations lead to a new composition. For humanity, the music of one's own life gains new themes and interpretations with each cycle. Does infinite repetition nurture creativity and diversity? Could we be living in a cosmic reality where cycles constantly refresh and evolve the music of the universe? Perhaps each new cycle forms a new chapter in the universe's infinite symphony. Will this endless melody, the greatest poem and the greatest mystery of existence, play on forever? 46. Do concepts such as infinite love and infinite hatred gain meaning in a cycle? Human emotions, such as love, hatred, longing, and regret, are some of the oldest and most powerful forces in existence. Are these emotions also experienced over and over again in an infinite cycle? Can infinite love or infinite hatred find their true meaning in the cosmic cycle? Or do emotions change and take on new forms in each cycle? Philosophically, the repetition of emotions such as love and hate in a cyclical universe demonstrates the continuity of existence and the emotional richness of the universe. In each cycle, the same love is rekindled, the same hatred resurfaces. However, do small changes in cycles alter the intensity, direction, and meaning of emotions? Perhaps in each cycle, love becomes more mature, hatred deeper, or perhaps an entirely new form of emotion emerges. Scientifically, since emotions have chemical and neurological foundations, it is possible for similar emotions to arise in similar conditions that repeat in each cycle. However, can the small differences in life, relationships, and the environment alter the expression and outcome of emotions in each cycle? Perhaps in a cyclical universe, love and hatred exist in infinite forms and infinite stories. Ultimately, do infinite love, infinite hatred, and other fundamental emotions truly achieve immortality in the cycle? Do they rebirth in new forms, new meanings, and new outcomes with each cycle? Perhaps humanity's story is rewritten time and again within the endless cycle of these emotions. 47. What would happen if all cycles merged? Theoretically, could all cycles in the universe merge at a single point to form a great singularity or a unified super-cycle? If all patterns of time, energy, and existence were to converge in an instant, what would the resulting reality be like? Would such a merger be a cosmic, great convergence, or the end of existence? Scientifically, the merging of cycles would require all the energy and information in the universe to converge at a single point and then redistribute. At this point, would all the stories of the past, the possibilities of the future, and infinite repetitions converge into a single reality? Would such a merger cause the universe to transition into a new phase, giving rise to entirely new physical laws? From a philosophical perspective, the merging of cycles would challenge the very meaning of existence. Would we experience a cosmic unity where everything converges at a single point, and all separations, dualities, and opposites cease to exist? This could signify a leap to a new level of consciousness and the universe itself. Perhaps the merging of all cycles is the moment of completion and transformation of existence. Ultimately, would the merging of all cycles be a utopia or a catastrophe? Would the convergence of all the potentials and stories of existence remain the greatest mystery of the universe, forever unsolved? Perhaps one day, all cycles will merge and create a new universe, a new consciousness, and a new reality. 48. Why is the theme of cycles so popular in science fiction and mythology? Cycles appear as a common theme in humanity's oldest stories and most modern works of science fiction. In ancient legends, it is told through motifs such as eternal return and apocalypse and rebirth, while in modern films and novels, it is explored through concepts like time loops, parallel realities, and repeating destinies. Why has the idea of cycles permeated both science fiction and mythology so powerfully? In mythology, the cycle symbolizes the rhythm of nature, the turning of the seasons, and the continuity of life. Gods, heroes, and humans repeatedly face the same trials. Death and rebirth are the fundamental laws of the universe. Science fiction, on the other hand, questions time, reality, and identity repeatedly in the light of technology and science. The theme of the cycle is a universal reflection of the human quest for change, learning, and salvation. Cyclical time has a profound effect on human psychology. The repetition of life, the reliving of mistakes and successes, pushes people to confront their past and make new beginnings. Science fiction works use the idea of the cycle to create new possibilities on both cosmic and individual levels. Instead of the tedium of endless repetition, it encourages the search for new meanings and new hopes. In conclusion, the theme of the cycle allows humanity to ask its deepest questions about the universe and itself, in both mythology and science fiction. Infinite cycles symbolize both the infinity and the change of existence. Does every story, every era, every culture fall under the spell of the cycle and create its own infinite narrative? 49. Can cycles in the universe intersect with time travel? Time travel is one of the most intriguing and controversial themes in science fiction. In a cyclical universe, time travel takes on entirely new meanings. If the universe is constantly repeating the same cycle, can an individual or entity travel to their past or future and alter the structure of the cycle? Can time travel be used to break cycles or start new ones? Scientifically, time travel brings with it many paradoxes. If one travels back in time and changes an event, does the entire loop get affected from start to finish? This could lead to the butterfly effect, where even a small intervention could rewrite the entire history of the universe. Could time travel in a cyclical universe be an opportunity to change the fate of repetitions? Philosophically, time travel challenges the boundaries of free will and destiny within a loop. A journey could mean breaking the chains of the past or charting a new path for the future. Is it possible to make new choices and create a different reality in each cycle? Could time travel be the key to overcoming the constraints of cycles and reaching the infinite potential of the universe? Ultimately, the fantasy of time travel in a cyclical universe represents one of humanity's greatest desires, changing the past, creating the future, or breaking the chains of endless repetition. Perhaps one day, when science and consciousness come together, time travel will open new paths within the cycles. Is true freedom possible in an infinite cycle? The idea of an infinite cycle fundamentally questions the nature of freedom. If everything happens over and over again, can we really make free choices? Or are all decisions, events, and outcomes already part of a predetermined destiny that has been repeated infinitely? Is true freedom possible in a cyclical universe? Some thinkers argue that freedom in a cycle is only found in small differences, even if the same grand story repeats itself in every cycle. Small deviations and choices create the realm of freedom. But does freedom lose its meaning in the shadow of endless repetition? Is every choice merely a repetition of a pattern that has already been experienced, or can it create something truly new? Spiritual teachings and individual awareness argue that the very quest for freedom within the cycle holds meaning. Perhaps freedom lies not in breaking the chains or escaping the cycle, but in creating new meanings and new journeys within it. Does each repetition offer a new opportunity for humanity to intervene in its own destiny? In conclusion, true freedom in a cyclical universe may never exist in its complete form. But this does not mean that the quest for freedom is worthless. In every cycle, a new path, a new meaning, and a new consciousness can emerge. Even in endless repetition, can humans continue to create their own freedom and journey? I would like to remind you that if you would like to support me, you can click on the Join button at the bottom of the screen. Your support is truly valuable to me. Thank you in advance. Let's continue with our video 51. Is the search for meaning in an endless cycle an illusion or the essence of existence? In the cyclical structure of the universe, the human search for meaning takes on a whole new dimension. If everything repeats itself in endless cycles, are the meanings we give to our lives, our beliefs, hopes, and efforts merely temporary consolations, or are they the very building blocks of these cycles? Even if humans were to live the same life over and over again, they would still feel the need to create and discover meaning anew in each cycle. Perhaps the true essence of existence is this endless quest itself, because meaning is not a goal, but a treasure that is constantly rediscovered in the infinite journey. Those who argue that the search for meaning is an illusion claim that human effort is futile in the midst of the cold, mechanical, and purposeless repetitions of the universe. In an endless cycle, there may never be definitive answers to the big questions. Neither love, death, nor freedom can be explained in a way that is satisfying forever. However, it is human nature to find new meaning in recurring events, to produce a fresh perspective and a new story in every cycle. Perhaps the real illusion lies not in seeking meaning outside ourselves, but in failing to find it within the cycle itself, in the moments we experience. Philosophically speaking, the search for meaning serves as a kind of sacred motor. In a cyclical universe, each cycle propels humans toward renewed exploration, questions, and change. This quest keeps humans unique and alive despite endless repetitions. The dynamics of the mind and spirit never lose their power to create new meanings, no matter how similar external conditions may be. Perhaps the real miracle in the infinite cycle of existence is that no repetition is ever the same, and that each cycle holds the potential for new meaning. In this vast cosmos, humans begin their journey, their story, anew with each cycle. In conclusion, the search for meaning is neither a simple coincidence nor a meaningless effort. Rather, it is the most powerful driving force at the heart of the infinite cycle. Meaning transforms the tedious repetition of cycles into an adventure, a poem, a discovery. With each new cycle, human perspectives, questions, and answers change. Life and existence remain new, fresh, and hopeful for this very reason. Perhaps the true reality in the endless cycle is the search for meaning itself, and the essence of existence lies in that never-ending curiosity and rediscovery. As we journey through the infinite cycle of the universe, each of our stories is like a unique role in a repeating play. At times, we feel crushed under the weight of the cycles, as if our choices and our lives are overshadowed by a predetermined fate. However, the real miracle lies in the fact that in every new cycle, even a small change, a moment of awareness, or an ordinary moment has the power to alter the destiny of the entire cosmos. Within the endless repetitions, every person's quest for meaning, free will, and courage to begin anew continuously breathe fresh life into the universe. Perhaps the true secret lies not in getting lost in the endless cycles, but in the ability to recreate each cycle, each moment, and each life with new meaning. Within the infinite cycle, the greatest freedom and beauty lie in constantly rediscovering oneself and the universe. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. With your support, we can grow this community of science and discovery. Share your thoughts with us, because discovering the unknown together is always more exciting. As Carl Sagan said, reality is stranger than we think. Science is the most powerful tool we have to understand that strangeness.